Hi, welcome to the Freeman Conversations. I'm Gilbert Ocal, the online editor of the Freeman. This is a Friday, and we once again welcome you to our back to school project where we get to talk to student leaders from different academic institutions in Cebu. And last time we had the student council presidents from Southwestern University, FINMA, and Cebu Normal University. And today we have with us live here in the studio the council presidents from the University of San Jose Recoletos and Cebu Doctors University. And later on, we will be joined by the council president from St. Teresa's College. But I'd like to welcome first and foremost our guests from CDU and from USJ-R. We have Kurt Lozano from CDU and Kyle Polmanas. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. Welcome to the program. Okay, and for all of you watching right now, we actually have these beautiful passes for the 2018 Big Bad Wolf book sale here in Cebu. And this is an exclusive preview pass on July 12, 2018. So we'd like to encourage you to stay in the program, watching the program, so if you want to win these passes. We'll tell you how later on. Okay, first and foremost, since you're here, I would like to ask you, your council presidents, how is it so far? Since you got elected and your case is a little bit different.
Yeah.
We can talk about it later on. Let's begin with Kyle. How is it so far?
It's quite challenging.
By the way,
yes.
USJ-R and CDU, you have started your classes already, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, in June. Will there be a transition to August like the other schools? Would you know?
So far it was cancelled. It was supposed to be this year, but then during the president's meeting, it wasn't.
Okay.
So for USJ-R, what we've heard is for next year we're going to implement already the SM. So maybe probably next year we're going to start by August.
Oh, all right. But so far, we're in July now. How has the past month been as president?
Past month, it's quite challenging, especially with all these pressing issues in going back to school, tuition fee increase, and all those increases in the fees, which really bursted all students in the university. But as of the moment, we are trying to do everything that we can to. It's either to justify or to look into that certain issue.
How did you? What's the atmosphere like? Because I know how it is when you're a student and then you suddenly hear there's going to be a tuition fee increase. During my time, I remember we had 100% increase in tuition fee.
100%.
Yes, during our time. And we were just freshmen at that point. So in your case, how is the atmosphere like among the students?
In fairness towards the students, of course, the social media outburst was there. It was not prevented, but in fairness, might as well to some, they are trying to understand the nature of the tuition fee increase. But as of the moment, it is still not final yet because from the Commission of Higher Education, there's still no approval towards the tuition fee.
Okay,
So
so
we're still
proposed
Yes.
increases. Yes. Okay, but how is it being president?
Being the president is very challenging, balancing academics, social life, responsibilities in school, especially being the president, and everybody around the school is looking at you, trying to tell you what to do, their demands here. But we are trying to take it one by one.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk more about it later. But Kurt, how about you so far?
So far, it's same as him. It's also really challenging, especially me that I was not part of the council during my time. Like it was because the vice presidents didn't want to become presidents because it's really tough for dentistry students. So I was just elected straight to the position. But I realized that you don't really need to know everything. You just need to do everything. You just need to know the people who can do what you need to be done.
Yeah, because in the first place, you can never do everything.
Yeah, that's true.
And you will never get to know everything.
Yeah. So like that's why I try to reach that transition because when you're tackling things that's in a big scale, especially now where yours is student tuition fee increase, ours is still deficient. Okay. So we've been trying to find different ways and so many decisions to make that you can't really do everything. Yeah, you really need help from other people. Yeah.
Kyle, yes, sir. What made you decide to run for president?
Actually, when I was
Because I'm sure before you decided to run, I'm sure you know
the nature
of the job, possible ramifications.
When I was in first year, second year, third year, I never intended to join politics in school. It's just so disturbing. Sometimes your friendships get worse because of politics. But during December last year, there was this certain group of people who recruited me to join their team. It was under a party list. and I actually asked them what's in it for me.
No.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
right
that's
question
a
you would ask.
It's a valid question.
So they told me that this is gonna be an opportunity for you to discover what's more than what you are right now. So that line was really turning around in my head because I'm usually staying in my comfort zone, and this is really not my comfort zone.
Which is, what's your comfort zone?
My comfort zone is just like in organizations, in just little scale.
Okay.
But right now, it's elevated to the entire college studentry. It's really out of my comfort, very far from my comfort zone, and it's a very big challenge. But I accepted it because of the motivation of the people surrounding me.
Before, well, Kurt did not hold, if I'm not mistaken, any position at all before becoming president. What about you?
I held a position since I was in first year. I was the assistant scoutmaster in our university, the junior high school department.
Okay.
First year, second year. Then third year, I was elected as vice president for our organization.
Okay.
Then currently the president.
Okay. What about Kurt? How is it being elected, catapulted, so to speak, right into the presidency?
Well, so far, like, I'm relying more on the things I learned before. So before, I had experiences for first presidency for each of my batch years. But I guess that's what like parang prepared me for council presidency. You realize na there's a lot of skills that you need to learn.
Yeah.
Like even skills you don't really need. Like for example, negotiation, talking with people higher than you. I realized na I couldn't learn this just in the classroom. So what I did was like
or in dentistry for that matter.
or in dentistry in that matter, because mostly we'll be working on patients.
Yeah.
You don't really learn how to really engage in the decision making, financial budgeting. So once we had the problem of financial deficit, I started reading a lot of books like on business, on leading people. Realized na it's such a lot of things you don't know, but it's actually there if you look for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have you discovered as far as engagement is concerned?
Engagement and concern.
Yeah.
So there's so many. I realized that there's a lot of like pathways. Like when you make one decision, like it spreads to multiple of possibilities. So once you make one decision, you have to know that all of the possibilities before you make one decision. Because if you can't make a straight correct decision, a lot of consequences will happen. So I feel like I will take my time making a decision to make the right decision instead of the wrong one. Because every time I make a right decision, all the wrong decisions will be like overcome by them. So, and I also make sure that since I really know less from my experience, so what I rely on is my group of council members. I really am happy that they are really capable to do their stuff. Like honestly, you guys are really awesome if you're watching this, because I have the skill, I have the knowledge and the wisdom, but I do not know how to execute it.
Okay.
So I told them the first time I came in, I said, there's a lot of blind spots I do not know, experiences that I do not have. I would like you to meet that part that I do not have. So if I do make a mistake or I have a difficulty in one area, please like just approach me or help me out, even if I don't see it, because their help really matters to me.
Yeah, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. What about you? Do you agree?
Yeah, I really do agree with Kurt's sentiments. Basically, with the leadership experience that I've had since first year in handling people and especially, the greatest thing that Kurt said was about the decision. It's really about weighing in what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's really not about how will the people be affected. It's really about which decision is right or wrong. So I really do agree with all of those points that Kurt raised a while ago. But just to add, in terms of delegating, it's more also empowering your people and enabling them.
Yeah, that's true.
Because sometimes they will also have those doubts in themselves. I cannot do it. But basically, what I do with my officers is that I push them to their limits. I shall try this, do this,
How
try
do you
this.
do that?
For example, they have, of course, in an event, we assign committees and committee members arrange. But sometimes I rearrange the committees in a way that they're uncomfortable.
I do that too.
In which they're uncomfortable, and then afterwards they find fulfillment because after they do their job, in which at first they started to doubt themselves, but after they do their job and it's successfully done, they can say that I did it.
They realized they could do something
Yes.
that the outset they didn't think they could do.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your brand of leadership?
Mine, I would like to take it to another level because we've been always thinking about what count. Like it's been years after years that one council has to surpass the next, has to surpass the next. So
Yeah.
I want to take it differently because it feels like we're always like fighting the next year, the next year. So what I wanted is to take it internationally, like
Okay.
bring dentistry, because I'm in dentistry, bring the leadership of dentistry out of this country.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my style.
Let's
right now.
explain further.
Currently, I was very few. Only 2 people in the Philippines were accepted to APDSA. That stands for Asia Pacific Dental Students Association. I had was very lucky to join in Singapore. Realized that we are fighting, not really fighting, but there's a scarce resources in the Philippines. We are fighting each other for these scarce resources. And then, like for example, different colleges, we're all fighting for one source, but realizing that there's more to that source of food or that area in that place, we can take it beyond that area and find more sources. So what I want to do is, I realize that our knowledge in the Philippines is very minimal,
Or limited.
limited. So I realized that when I went to Singapore and I went to United States also, the way they do dentistry is out of this level. I mean, top notch. Like when I go to my classroom and I apply what I do, I realize that my classmates are also shocked, like really shocked. So my teachers really love to do it actually, but it seems like it's not a problem of what we have, but it's what we can do with what we have.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like as what he said, the motivation. I'm trying my best to motivate my students under under this council I have right now to motivate to do better than what they are thinking. Because once I looked at different colleges internationally, CDU has good equipment, as in almost on par. It's just the students' minimal thinking. So it's level for out this area. So I want to put it out of that area and move expand it. Yeah, expand it higher. So probably that's my goal for the council currently.
That's nice. That's nice. Kyle.
Brand of leadership. I really want to focus on the enabling culture that we Filipinos tend to disregard. I mean, like for example, we present ideas and then we suppress all ideas because what I want is my ideas will become the real thing. My ideas will be implemented, not yours. So give me a proposal, but I will listen. But at the end of the day, my ideas will be implemented.
Yeah.
That's a typical. People in position.
Yeah,
but
in politics for that matter.
Yes, politics in that matter.
Especially if you have political differences.
True. But in my tagline during my campaign, it's yes pulmones, yes pulmones. It's yes, and then I realized the yes there is actually the enabling culture that I want to have. Wherein, if people will say no, I will try to find and maneuver my way so that people will say yes to a certain thing. But again, going back to the point a while ago, it has to be the right decision. So for me to say yes or for me to push for a yes, it must be the right decision. I learned the enabling culture with my mom. I could never reach this level if my mom was not an enabling culture leader in our family. You know, when I chat my mom, because my mom is an OFW, I chat my mom and siya, "Me, mo apil ko ani, mo apil ko ana." There was never an instance that my mom will try to persuade me not to.
Okay.
My mom will just simply say, "You do it if you can."
Yeah.
Just the simple line. It's okay for me for as long as you can. If not, don't push yourself. So with that, it's also how I bring my officers. If they can do it, they want to implement programs. If they can do it, why not? Go ahead. For as long as it's in the right path, that's number one. And number two, for as long as you're empowering yourself more and more every single day. So it's more of the enabling, empowering kind of leadership that I want to have in the setup that I have in the Supreme Student Council.
Since we touched very briefly on differences, how do you respond to what is your treatment of those in the council who might not be in the same political party as you?
Luckily, all elected officers, we won 34 seats out of 35.
Wow.
So
Only one.
yes, only
Okay.
one. And
That must be very daunting to the only one.
yeah,
That is
but
it,
we try to make it a welcome environment for her.
Yes, of
So
course, yeah.
we need to.
Yeah.
It's really
Work
difficult.
together.
But sometimes, even if you are belonging to the same political party, it does not ensure that everybody agrees to a certain idea or a certain concept. So that is the reason why, during there are differences, decision making comes in. We then turn into, since the Philippines is a democratic country, by the way, so we go immediately to voting. So no matter what my decision is, if the majority opposes my decision or not, I respect the majority. So simple as that.
Okay, before we move on, we'd like to welcome to the panel our STC president from St. Teresa's College, Andre Dominic Pepito. Thank you very much for being here on a Friday.
Thank you so much. I apologize for being late.
That's okay, now we can grill you. The gentleman here from Cebu University and USJ-R, Kurt and Kyle. Now you can start forming that federation we were talking about earlier. Okay, Andre,
Yes.
how is it so far? Because STC will start classes in August.
August, right.
Right? So how are the preparations for the SSC?
Yeah, we're currently preparing for the whole school year. We're starting with the leaders first and foremost, and then we'll be going on with the freshmen. So the freshmen are very important for us because since the last 2 years there have only been 2 batches, and STC is a small school, so.
Yeah.
And we have a small population in our college department, so we're really excited that the freshmen, there are some freshmen who are coming already in the college department of STC, and we want to welcome them, so we're really preparing for that as well. And we have been prepared for some plans also for the whole school year, and as the president, I want to have a cooperation with the student body as well, so I want the student council and the student body to have a camaraderie and a unity among
If you're wondering what she's talking about, missing freshmen for the past 2 years,
Yeah.
that's because the Philippines we just implemented the K-12 program,
Yeah.
wherein our educational system has already adopted the senior year or senior high.
Yes.
Senior high, so 2 years in senior high. That's why for the past 2 years there have been no freshmen in the college or tertiary department. So
Yes.
and now, starting this year, we now have new freshmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's also a challenge for me and the CSC of STC as well. So we want the new freshmen to get into the values of STC and be welcomed as well for to be Thiricians.
Oh, is it big?
Sure, of course, yes.
So like my problem is deficit of budget was missing 2 years. They have an increase in tuition fee. How's your financing going?
It's also quite a challenge for us, especially that we're already going through our plans and asking like, okay, how much is okay, we have this, or oh, okay, so let's work with that and let's do something about that. Let's find some other plans let's find other ways to be resourceful and to be creative while handling the budget. So
Yeah, that's right.
I like what you said.
Yeah.
The first years are what you really want to go to.
yeah.
Because like missing 2 years, you're right that they're gonna be missing years. So I think it's like I don't know what, but maybe you guys want to think about it. Like this will be the first years that will be leading for 3 years.
Correct, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know how you guys gonna happen, but like, what do you think?
Or
Big question.
yeah,
It's a
it's actually quite a. When I ran as officer, this is actually one
Oh,
of
yeah,
the,
because in relation to that, the first question I asked them was, what made them decide to run for
yeah.
president?
Oh yeah. Actually, it's been a dream of mine to be a president.
Oh, okay.
Wow. And I'm so.
At least the primary motivation was there, personal motivation was there,
Yeah.
okay?
So when I ran, I immediately thought next year we're gonna have some freshmen. So it's a new set of people to learn a new culture. We have to get them into the culture of STC, and that's what I want the new student body to have, and as well as the old student body to like to
Embrace.
match, to
Yeah.
embrace, and to welcome them and to nurture them into this Thracian culture that we have. So that's what I was thinking when what am I going to do with the first years so that they may be immersed into this Thracian culture, into the values that the school have been teaching us for the whole school. I've been a Thracian for 14 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ancient.
So, yeah. Since I was 6, since I was prep, so me as a president, as running for president, how am I going to teach the values that I've learned for 14 years?
Especially to those who might not come from
STC.
STC,
high
yes.
school, really the new Thracian.
So we're considering that, and since like, can I speak myself?
Oh, yeah.
Kanang, they're new magod ba, and then they're gonna be leading the school for the next 4 years, and how are we gonna teach them for 1 year or a year to be in this, to be Thracian, like a full-blown Thracian? Like.
Yeah, I think she's right actually.
Yeah. So what's your the second question I asked them, how do they define their brand of leadership? What's your brand of leadership?
For me, I think my brand of leadership, I'm not one who dictates. So
Democratic.
yeah, democratic. I need the suggestions of other people because I don't think I depend on myself that much. Like even though I'm like this, I'm kind of like that. I don't trust myself that much, so I need the opinions of others, and their opinions matter to me so much, and that's when I innovate their ideas, and that's the kind of leader that I want to be. But for now, I want to be strong with my decisions. Yeah, I want to be like firm and to make my own ideas as well. But at the same time, get the ideas of my members or the student body and incorporate them with mine, innovate them so that there could be a united and a very cooperative student body. That's my dream as a president for this year.
That's good, very good. It's really nice to acknowledge our own weaknesses, right? You can only be Superman or Superwoman to a certain extent, but beyond that, you really need the support of the whole council, of everyone. Okay, speaking of which, they say that indecision or the inability to make decisions is the worst trait of being a leader.
Oh yeah, that's true.
What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Disagree?
I learned that like when you prolong a decision and you can't make the right decision, the decision will be made for you, whether you like it or not. It happened to me too many times already. Tried to want to buy the equipment or not, and then turns out we didn't get the best out of the deal, and so some of my classmates were sad about it. It's because like, as we all know, you can't please everyone, you can't please anyone. But making a decision, then not making a decision, at least you get to choose what you want, even if it's not the absolute. Yeah, at least you know where it's going, rather than not choose anything and it just goes like you don't know where.
Okay. Good.
Maybe on that, decision making. For decision making, sometimes you really have to take risks. Risks. There was this kind of leadership test that I partake in a certain seminar. The results was I am actually a prophetic barbaric leader, meaning
Explain.
a prophetic is a visionary leader that wants to anticipate the future. But the barbaric is the opposite, the complete opposite of the prophetic one. Meaning you can implement decisions. You want to have decisions right there and then.
Okay.
So I'm both extremes. In terms of decision making, it's always about the discussion of the group. You are not the only student council. You are not the student council per se.
Yeah.
You're the representative, but you are not the student council. Therefore, the decision or the final decision that you must come up must be discussed within the group. May it not be your officers, may it be just normal students sitting down in the canteen. You talk with them, you ask them, hey, how's it going? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Sometimes you can also refer to social media. Because students nowadays, they really post it immediately.
Facebook.
We'll talk about that in a while.
Okay, and then once you go backtrack to all these factors that will affect your decisions, then only at the time, you can already come up with a decision that you can stand firm with. And finally, once you make your decision,
So consultative, in other
yes,
words.
it should be consultative. And finally, your decision, it must be aligned to your principles.
Yeah.
It must not be too far from your principles, because you might be deciding on something, then at the end of the day, personally, you don't want that because it's opposing what you believe is right. So therefore, you go back to the consultative process and you tell them, hey guys, this is not what I believe. So it's really about being open to your officers and discussing about it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Kurt here. So, you just spoke, but I thought. We have the same thoughts about decision making. I personally, as I mentioned a while ago, I don't really trust myself that much. So I lean on to people to have to help me make the decision. Especially that I'm so lucky to have my members, my other co-officers, that they have big principles, and yeah, I lean on to them for that, and I also stand on my principles as well. So
Of course,
I totally agree with that.
Before we continue, we'd like to say hi to some of those watching us. Ira, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. Ira Joseph. Kate Dinolang is watching, your classmate. Former student of mine, Casey Ke.
She's also our treasurer.
I see. Okay, in the council. Okay, James Bolo, if you're watching right now, and of course the Zumba Queen in the Freeman, Michelle Palabsana, is watching us. Thanks for watching. And of course, we'd like to remind everyone that you can win exclusive preview passes to the 2018 Big Bad Wolf book sale in Cebu. So keep watching, and we'll tell you how you can win these passes. Okay, speaking of which. What are your inspirations when it comes to leadership and when it comes to service? As far as your values are concerned, where did these values come from? Let's talk about books. Your favorite books. What are your favorite books?
My favorite book will be it's a series. it's called Shatter Me by Freeman.
Shatter Me?
Yeah. The
Okay.
Shatter Me series by Tahiri Mafi. So it's about a girl who's living in a dystopian time, and she has these powers that kanang mukuhagi of life.
Oh wow! Okay.
And she's trying to control it, and she later discovers that her powers are not for life taking, but she could use her powers to give life also to the society, the broken society. Despite of the negativity that her powers have, she's given hope to the broken society, that era, the time, the dystopian time.
Why do you like this book?
Aside from it, it's my thing. I like power. I like books that speak of having supernatural powers, and also there's a motivating factor to it as well, because she although her powers make her strong, she views it as her weakness, and she's always regretted that she has those kinds of power. She had that kind of power to take life, and I liked how it turned out that even though her powers took lives, she used it to give life and to give hope to the people that were kanang naapigi sa current sa kanang bad na government that made the world a bad place. So she took the leader of the bad government.
And dystopia is a very interesting topic. What about Kurt? What's your favorite?
My favorite book, it's the first book I ever read on self-improvement. It's different from yours, but anyway, you'll learn something from this.
Yeah.
It's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. One of the best books I've read. It's because even if I can talk so much right now and socialize as if it was nothing, I started off as an introvert actually. I'm still currently now I'm an ambivert. So usually my classmates would know this. Once you enter the room, I would usually sit in a corner or sit somewhere without too many people around.
Yeah.
I prefer it that way. I don't know why, but I also had the feeling that I wanted to bond with them, but I didn't really want to be socializing too much with them. So
I can
yeah, it was a conflict between me, honestly.
Yeah.
So when I saw this book, honestly, I was passing through National Books, and I saw this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and wow, so this is a book about trying to make yourself known and like making yourself so sikat. But actually, once I started reading it, I realized that that's not really what's important. Like this though reminded me that it's not really about empowering all the time or forcing yourself way to that area. It's like when you want to know someone or you want to form a bond with another person, you get to know that person first. You make them talk more about themselves than you talk about yourself. And that way you know the person more, and that person felt like he was heard. Because most of the common words we say, like there was a poll on what is the most common word that's always being used in the telephone. You'd realize it's a single letter. Yes. Yes. It's I. It's so easy. Like, see, we know it. So it's a common misconception. So if we want to know others, we'd rather empower them. Like as what she does, can't really trust yourself, but let others empower others to keep up, like stand up, because we can't do everything, honestly. So this is how to win, influence people. It didn't say the book is how to win and influence people. It didn't say how to win and change people, because you can never change a person. You can only influence them in a certain way.
That's nice. Okay. What's yours?
Yeah. That question has been terrifying my mind since a while.
Why?
I'm really not a book lover though,
Yeah.
but I read books if I like the title. I read the title.
But there must be something that
Yes.
at a certain extent, or
There's
at
only
point.
this one book. Ever since I was born, there's only this one book that I actually read it cover to cover. It's just 80 pages.
Oh.
Just 80 pages. So it's
Pictures.
no pictures. No. I'm so proud of myself. No pictures. It's Mentoring 101 by John Maxwell.
Okay.
John Maxwell, those kind of leaders, John Maxwell, Wilson Chess, and those are those. Just have that expression.
Yeah.
I realized since I was in first year college, my God, exposed to the process of developing leaders rather than being a leader on your own. You need to know how to mentor or equip properly these people for you to be able to bring them to the next level.
That's true.
And one striking logic there is that you're at this level and they are here, but push them to be more than you.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really like from that book. So in mentoring, you don't just say advices. It's, hey, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is right. But you're actually telling that person that you can do better and better than me. You can be more than me.
That's true. That's true.
And these are the skills that you need. Okay, here are your skills. Practice and go. Fly. It's just that kind of
The
process.
selflessness aspect of leadership. Yeah, at this point, I'd like to say hi to former president, SSC,
Marco
of-
Romas.
Hi,
Marco.
Marco Romas, and former intern also in the Freeman, Marco Romas. Thanks for watching us.
Hey,
We also, actually, the public information officer of Cebu City is also watching us.
Wow.
Miss Ma'am Malu Ilocando Tabar, thank you very much for watching. She says, STC, hail to thee. Former Theresa. And we have Jesney Sontusidad. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this. Okay, here you go. So, your favorite books. Yours is Yours is Shatter Me, the Shatter Me series. That's Andre's favorite book. Kurt's favorite book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And Kyle's favorite book so far.
So far.
Mentoring 101. So these are their favorite books. If you're watching, pick one and type in the comment section. And the first 4 to comment the titles of the book will win our 4 exclusive passes to the Big Bad Wolf exclusive preview on July 12, 2018. This is from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on that day at the International IEC Convention Center in Barangay Mambola, Cebu City. So, again, their favorite books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that's Kurt's favorite, Mentoring 101, Kyle's favorite, and Andre's Shatter Me series. You can pick one of those titles, type them in the comment section, and the first 4 will win the first 4 passes in the Big Bad Wolf exclusive preview. And just to mention, each pass is good for 2 people.
Wow.
So you can bring a friend or a special someone.
Wow.
To that
idea.
Yeah. Okay, my next question. How do you take criticism as leaders? Because I'm sure you mentioned earlier you can never please everyone with your decisions or actions. How do you deal with criticism? And now, in your generation, let me just say our generation, on social media in particular, how do you take criticism?
I personally am kind of vulnerable to criticism, but now I've learned to deal with them. I take criticism as healthy learnings. Like this is good for me. This criticism is good for me. So I just take that because I grew up taking modesty aside.
Yeah.
I grew up taking compliments from other people. So just mere like, what is that? Murag kanaging murag pangasaba, gamay lang nga pangasaba. Kay
It affects you
it
right away.
affects me.
Okay.
Yeah, before. But now that I had just had I became a leader in college. I've learned to take it as this is healthy and good feedback instead of like something negative. I use it as something healthy for me to learn. Criticism is something that you should learn from, and yeah, that's how I take it. And
Yeah, because it's
not-
different if you get criticism from teachers, for example, in the classroom, but criticism from peers, for example, and particularly on social media when everyone can see, everyone can comment.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Mm,
It's nice you're taking it positively. What about you?
So I think the main thing you should realize is like you have to sort throughout all of this comments. Like
Okay.
usually it's a lot of comments on when you post. Then you sort out what's most relevant to you, because there's always stuff like people are undergoing something in their lives that they feel burdened about, and they always want to lay it down to another person. So
Okay.
they might be like criticizing you for it when it's actually from them also. So it can go both ways. Like lies are always half meant, so it's also the same thing.
Yeah.
But you can also put it in her way that I really like. I think her term is constructive criticism. Yeah, it's really good because actually, it's like you're going through your life in a straight path, and then there's always warning signs in between that says turn left, turn right, this is the wrong way. Please don't do that. Don't loiter on that area. These are your warning signs. You take it as a constructive criticism. Like it's a step to build you up higher. Because like if no one comments you and keep going on a straight path, you don't know if you're going straight to a cliff.
True.
Yeah. So that's how I view it, honestly.
Okay.
Two things on criticism. First, once you talk about criticism, it's more or less comments from people. You know, so I don't know what's the rate until when it becomes criticism. If it's either directed to you or directed to I learned because I'm an education student. So it's all about feedback, proper feedback. And once you give feedback, you offer solutions if it's failing.
Yeah.
Therefore, I really won't mind criticisms unless they offer solutions to their critics, to their statements. So like, if they're saying, hey, Cebu experiencing heavy traffic. It's very common nowadays. So, what's your offered solution?
Yeah, that's really.
If none, disregard.
Yeah.
Disregard. It's a waste of my time.
Okay.
So, actually, right now, currently, in our university, there is a culture shock for the first year students. Because
Why?
there is a clay grow program that we are implementing actually, the Clean As You Go, in which the students should be responsible in making their tables clean after
Yeah.
they eat so that the next people who will eat can eat immediately.
Right.
I mean, it's etiquette. So,
But
right
okay,
now, yes sir.
It's something that we should not be even implementing anymore in schools, right?
Yeah.
Because that's common courtesy.
Common courtesy.
Yes, common
Yes,
courtesy.
it's
Common
true,
courtesy,
that's true.
yeah.
So basically, since the freshman is already there, and they are seemingly not applying it.
Okay.
Okay, so the seniors, the old people of the university who has been practicing that for a long time, has been blasting that through the social media.
Okay.
And so there were comments like, SSC is not doing anything, like they're so passive this year. It's so common,
Yeah.
But when I scroll to their comments, first thing that comes and pops into my brain is this. So what's your offered solution? None.
Right.
So you're not doing anything.
That's true.
You're just saying words, but you're not offering something to improve that situation. Therefore, it's no use. You're just a waste of my time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Disregard. Disregard.
Okay, let's take it a step further. How do you deal with failure? If a project, for example, fails, how do you deal with that?
I think,
Or, okay, not just as SSC president, as an SSC president, but individually.
Me personally, I deal with failures also as a ground for learning as well. I failed with this. How can I do it to make it better next time? So I learn from that mistake, from that failure, and then I use what I've learned and apply it to my next thing. The next thing. So failures may be it may be a burden. Yeah, it's such a burden actually. But
Hurts.
you just have to learn how to use it as a learning experience for you and apply that to your next project or to your next endeavor in life as well. So we make mistakes, human as we are, we are capable of making mistakes. So you have to learn from that as well.
How can you be so positive?
yeah, no, right?
I just grew up to be an optimist.
Are all Felicians like that?
Maybe. My friends tell me, why are you so happy all the time? So optimistic.
Yeah.
So,
What about you?
for me, every time you have a problem, so in the industry, it's really tough actually. That's why a lot of people don't really want to take a position. So every day, you don't know if you're failing or not because we take exams almost every day. And so I learned this thing from TED Talk. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Really helpful actually. You can just learn a few things in YouTube. So what they place this term called grit. Grit is like when it's what determines those who will succeed and not. It's a part of it. So it's those no matter how bad your situation is, how many times you've been hit down, or how many times you failed so many times. Grit is those who wake up the next day, and then walk. Just keep going, no matter what. Because actually, from this book, it's also called one of my favorite books, Mind Hacking. What it said was no matter how many situations is so bad, if the outside world is raining, you can switch the momentum, the negative momentum is moving this way really fast. You can switch it in a split second and turn it to positive momentum.
Yeah.
So if you're going really fast as negatively, switch it really fast and then turn it to positive, going that fast also.
Okay.
So you can just apply that. Positive actually really works. You can switch that using positive mindedness.
Yeah, and having a positive mind actually resonates also into your behavior, to your
Yeah, your
personality.
well-being.
Yeah, your
And it
well-being.
affects other people actually.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so now they become really helpful and useful, makes your day happy actually.
If you're positive,
Yeah.
you become an inspiration also
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
many people. So
Yeah. I have a comment, but let's. I don't know.
For failure, I would like to grab what my mentor, Mr. James Alyazon, he taught me this. If a person or yourself creates a mistake, you can only tolerate it thrice.
Oh.
Just simple as that. First time, it's human nature. Nobody's perfect. Second time, it's understandable. It can be justified. But third time, it can either be negligence or irresponsibility. So simple as that. So if every time I fail, I'll try to revisit. Is this my first time, second time? Then I'll use what you, Miss, actually said, that I'm gonna push it as a learning experience. For a second time, justify, I can try to understand some circumstances, but for the third time, it's really unforgivable. It's unforgivable. Third time is too much.
yeah.
I think you're talking also about mistakes,
Yes.
right? It's okay to commit mistakes, but committing it on a daily basis is
It's a different thing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm asking this. My comment actually is I'm asking this because it's important to understand that you hold positions of power as SSC president.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, you're already there. And that kind of influence that you wield and have will always have an effect on the other students, your constituents, so to speak.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of behaviors that we would like to establish with you as SSC president. Okay, does it matter to you if people or constituents do not approve of what you do at the end of the day?
For me, kind of. There's a percentage of that because some may think, what I've said, I'm very considerate of other people's opinions and other people's like perspective of everything. So if what they think is good, actually, just what Kurt said, like if it's good, if it's beneficial for the school, if it's okay for the project, then okay, I'm gonna get that. But if it's something like so if we get that impression on some comments of other people, then you can just
Disregard?
disregard
Okay.
or maybe consider it, but put it aside.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay, Kyle?
Firstly, the constituents' comment, for me personally, the comments of my constituents would greatly affect me. They are the people who placed me here.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, they are the people directly affected with all these things. Those are the two things that I always consider. Once my constituents complain, especially the Claygo, for example, I'll just bring it up again. The Claygo. So meaning, there is something wrong that I didn't see. Therefore, they are complaining on something. So, what did I do? I will create something towards that certain issue to be addressed. But if we already made the decision, and then there comes the comments, and there comes the complaints, what we do is, number one, we try to revisit the decision. If it's the right or the wrong one. Because sometimes there are some factors that we really cannot consider. Because
there
we're
are
not
things
there.
out of your control.
Yes, yes. That's why we tend to revisit all decisions, have a meeting, and go back to the consultative process.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, derive the final decision and stand firm on it. I think that for me is the most important thing.
Okay. That's nice. Would like to also say hi to a former president of STC. Marty De Castro is watching. Marty is watching. Thanks for watching, Marty. Okay, we're down to our last 15 minutes in the show. So before we continue, I'd like to again remind everyone that you can still win a special exclusive preview pass of this year's Big Bad Wolf book sale in Cebu happening on July 12. That's next week from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. How many do we have now? Two have already answered because the first four who can comment with the titles of their favorite books. Just one. Okay, let's see. Kurt's favorite, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Kyle's favorite so far, Mentoring 101, and Andre loves Shattering the series. So just pick one of the three and type in the comment section. Four of you will type first, will win our exclusive preview pass. And each pass will allow you to bring a friend. One more. So good for two. Okay, next question. What are you most proud of your generation?
I think what I'm most proud of in my generation is the openness that we have for what was once taboo before. Like for example, equality among sexes, LGBTQ. Everyone is already open to that. So, and as well as openness to other ideas, other queer, what was once queer or what was once peculiar. They're already open. Our generation is already open to some of that, and they put it into something that can be used to empower also other people. So that's one thing I'm proud of in my generation, and as well as the innovations, I think, like in terms of technology, in terms of communication, and all those things that we are experiencing right now. So I thank my generation and the former generations as well for
Yeah, and just last week, over the weekend, we just had a conversation on Pride Month and the pending SWAG bill, now pending in the Senate. What about Fred?
I'd pick the innovation. Thank you for the people who brought this into us.
Yeah, right now we're streaming live on Facebook. During my time, when I was your age, we didn't have this.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So like, in our batch, we're really happy that our teachers allowed this. So before we used to take down notes in paper, now we're paperless. Like a few of us are paperless. We're starting to have the new trend now.
Meaning to say,
Like once we come inside the classroom, we can either bring an iPad, cell phone, our laptop, and we type on a Bluetooth keyboard, and everything's registered in our laptop. We can have it in our phone, type it in our phone, it'll be in our cell phone, in our laptop, it'll be in our tablet. So we never lose our notes, and it's so fast because when you start editing and the teacher speaks really fast, you can type really fast compared to writing. You can't really see your handwriting after. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you share a lot of notes, and the notes comes here, this is your notes, and this other is another person's notes, you can compare those notes. And so not only that, it can extend more to that. Like for example,
curiously, do your teachers allow you to take photos of the notes on the board?
oh, this is a really good question.
Yeah, because
It's a really good question.
that's a big debate in many schools.
Yeah, so that's one of the problems, honestly, because like when you put our phone over here, like right there, it's a high chance that the camera is facing straight to the board.
Yeah.
And most teachers, for sake of it's their work and they devoted time to just make that one, they don't want anyone to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
So apparently, sadly, some people do that. But for us who really take down notes, it's really quite useful. Honestly, yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So it's very big on taking down notes.
Yeah, it's a win-lose situation. But if we can finally like incorporate this with us, we can move faster, like really fast. Because internationally, some are doing paperless. Like what a doctor types down, it gets sent to the pharmaceutical. You don't have to carry a paper. It's really fast already. Honestly.
Yeah. If you want to take part in the conversation, please leave your comments. What do you think? Should students be allowed?
I really like that.
Should they be allowed to take photos of notes on the board by the teachers? Because many teachers also argue that's so tinapulan. Because when you just take photos of the notes, and actually the thought process is not instigated by that, because you simply take photos and forget about it until you take a look at it again. But anyway, that's one side of the conversation. Another side is that when actually used in a positive way, because things will get faster. Yeah. Okay, what about that?
Thankful for this generation is the thought that we are all ideal for the future. We're also positive. If you try to ask, I always give this talk to mga organizations, and then afterwards I dwell with millennial leadership. What I'm so amazed is that once you ask millennial leaders on what they want to do during their term, the very common words: I want to create an impact, I want to create a change, I want to do something unique. So that's very ideal as a leader. That's something very positive. But that's also the downside, because sometimes we tend to be more ideal than being real.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so going back, being ideal in this generation is super okay, because it will push forth with innovations, it will push forth with technology advances, with all those other new ideas, might as well. But then again, if these ideal things will not be considered in the real world and in the real context, there the conflict comes in. For example, what Curtis a while ago said about note-taking. Teachers don't like the students to take their picture because in a viewpoint from a teacher, aside sa nagtinapulan, students have the retention rate during note-taking. So,
that's true.
mas
And you should notice, you just studied this.
That's true.
But the irony there is I don't take notes. So, I don't take notes. So,
that principle doesn't apply to you.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm a visual learner, so I just stare and I learn. But again, the retention of the learners is there when you write down notes. But again, it's also a conflict in the classroom, if it's allowed or not. But going back to the being ideal, those changes and impact, I always ask them afterwards, what is that impact that you want to make? You keep on saying you want to create an impact, you want to create change.
Yes.
What is that?
Yeah.
What is that? Give me something that we can measure at the end of your term.
Tangible, something tangible.
Something tangible. Yeah. Don't say that I empowered my leaders. They are so inspired right now. It's not.
These are all motherhood statements.
Yes, that's the reason why. During my talk, I always tell them, "What's your end goal? Give me something that you want to see at the end of your term." So don't give me those char adjectives. Give me something that you really have done.
Okay.
It's always about that.
Okay. Let's go out of your schools. What issues in the country, for example, do you feel strongly about? Or not the country, not necessarily. Within the community, what do you feel strongly about? Ako garbage. I was strongly about garbage because we see them around.
Yeah.
And when it's
I actually agree with that because, yeah, as I've said, I've been a theologian for 14 years and we're really big on environment, so I actually agree with that. So, right now, I think it's more on the EJK.
extrajudicial killings.
Yeah.
Okay, let's alleged extrajudicial killings. Yeah, that's what the government says. Go.
So it's actually a concern for me because I have my own values, but I can't control the government or other people for that, and it's a concern for me as well. I value people and I value the life of a human and a person, whatever they may be, whether they are bad or not. They deserve a life. They deserve to live. They deserve some chances, and they deserve to. They deserve a life. And I'm kind of concerned with that, but I think right now I'm more immersed as well. I'm gonna go with environment also. Right now our thesis is about plastic ban. The plastic ban. So I'm very big right now. Whenever I see a plastic bag, I'm like, it's so sad. Why are you using plastic? So that's not good for the environment. And the Theologian value of being a steward of creation comes just gets to me, and it's time to save the earth for the next generations.
Okay.
Yeah, so to make mine really fast, like CDU has a different way of dealing with their students. They take in number of students and then we taper down because CDU wants to like turn stones into rocks. So students from anywhere comes to CDU thinking that they can really survive. Well, they can, but then CDU really turns them into diamonds. We're polishing them so much. So when we graduate, it's one of the good students. Sometimes, like, what I notice, mentality from students, not only students, but also on patients. Like, I've encountered so many patients na when you ask them, like, how come your work is just like that? Or how come your income's like that? Or you came here because there was also a problem? Yeah, we understand that. I realized that there's a term that I always hear. It's always says like, kaya dahil hanggang dito lang ako.
Okay.
And then I feel strongly
Sadly.
it's a settling mediocrity.
Okay.
Yes, that's a term. I feel strongly heartbroken, as in it's like really heartbroken because our country can be more. Like it can be more. We've seen other countries. Singapore has been studying us before. Look at them; they're really good now.
Oh yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Korea was after the Korean War was really sad, but now they're really good. So to me, like if we can share the possibilities to the Filipino people. I don't know how to give the desire to them, but they have the potential. They just need to push themselves further. Like, don't settle for just this. Just keep going, keep going. But that's what I someday I will try to achieve this in my lifetime before I die. But let's see what happens.
Of course. Yeah. Kyle.
Something bothering me right now is actually the present kind of culture that we all have. Kind of heavy word though, culture. Why? It's in the present time. It's our culture, number one, to be negative about everything. There's something positive that is that will go out in the news, and then afterwards we can see the hate comments afterwards. That's number one. Number two, the kind of culture that we give in education. When we're getting more labeled as students. Yeah, na slow learners, na fast learners. I mean, they're learners. They may have special conditions or something, special considerations. But to label them as slow and fast, it can actually demotivate and motivate them to be more and to be less.
Okay.
Yes, it's the culture of labeling.
Yeah.
Next, another is the culture of the kind of identity that we have as Filipinos. I mean, once we go outside the country, nobody can shout there, I am a Filipino, and stand up there and be proud. Because why? The mentality of foreigners is that Filipinos are employers. I know, employees. Filipino are workers.
Yeah.
Therefore, once you go outside and you say that I am a Filipino, you will be thinking to yourself that, hey, I'm a worker.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why. That's one culture the culture of identity that we Filipinos have. Another is the culture of excellence that we on almost all institutions are declaring. Excellence. Okay. For example, we declare that this institution wants to create students with excellent this and that. But what is the real measure of excellence? Because if all universities and institutions have been aiming for that excellence since time immemorial, why
They have already
is...
been the best.
Yes, Philippines could
Yeah,
have been the best. Could have been. And we can see the different indices of how we measure students in their excellence rate. We measure them to standardized examinations.
Yeah.
That's true. Like it's
Based
not
on
there. It's
grades.
just not there.
I mean, how can you establish that excellence kind of label
There's
towards
only
the
one.
people? Yeah. So that's my social issue. It's all about the culture. Once you go to Japan, you can see videos on Facebook.
Yeah.
Once you go to Japan, if the traffic light says that don't walk, even if there are no cars passing by, you won't walk.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In the Philippines, once you see don't walk and you see no cars, you run. Cars.
I also hate that.
It's green light, you go. Orange light, go faster. This is red light, you stop.
Yeah.
You see the kind of culture that we have, and we keep on complaining on
Yeah.
how we live.
We could have been the solution for our own problems.
I mean,
Exactly.
that's the kind of thing that really bothers me.
law abiding, like just simply following the signs.
Yeah.
Actually, it takes a good.
I want to point out the elevator where the right side means rest and the left side means walk. Dang!
Yeah.
So you see, it's really about the culture. That's really what's bothering me. So maybe
How do you think we can change this culture? Perhaps it will not happen in our lifetime, but how do you think we can change?
I think not being passive, as that's one thing I really don't like about the culture that we have. That's about being passive. Like you can see it on the streets. It's everywhere. There are signs, and people are not following. People are complaining about that, but they're like, okay, I'm just until social media. They're just until there. There's a limit for them. They're not actually doing anything, so they're being passive. It's also one thing about not just the streets, not just the road, but also with making decisions as well, being passive, being inconsiderate, of being insensitive also
Okay.
of other people, of other people's feelings, of other people's ideas. That's one thing that I think we should change as Filipinos as well.
Do you think Filipinos need an iron fist to be more law-abiding for one?
I think it's a value of the Filipinos to be iron fist ba kana? We're very strong when it comes to when it affects us. I mean the people power. We're very strong about that. We have an iron fist, but again we're really passive. So when it comes to being within ourselves individually, I think that's one thing that we should change. I mean, there's this poem that says, all the things I need to learn, I learned in kindergarten.
That's a book, actually.
It's a book.
It's also a book by Robert Fulger.
Yeah. So
I
I
really
think
need to know that they're in kindergarten.
all the simple things we need to learn. It's actually all the complicated stuff. I mean, we just have to learn it simply. It's going back to basics and following your principles and being not passive. So being complacent.
Yeah, you should read the book. It's really nice. It's really nice. But anyway, Kurt, how do you think we can change our culture?
Well, for me, like as you mentioned, it honestly really starts with us, yourself. Because if you can't, like honestly, you can't change the world. If you can't change the world, how much more you can change the Philippines? So what you want to try to do is start small. Like as you said, it started when you were in kindergarten. Because the number of years you keep taking a lot of steps, steps will be like droplets in water that will cause a lot of ripple effects. So, for example, you can't achieve it in your lifetime. Maybe your child can achieve it in her lifetime, or her child can, or his or her child can achieve it in a lifetime. It will have a ripple effect. So, like it's really about yourself. Because if you can do it yourself, some people can also see that, and so it expounds each other. So. That's all I want to say.
Until it reaches the tipping point.
Actually, it's like that.
Okay. Two things. Another two things for that. I'm gonna take those points it all starts with the classroom. It all starts with the home.
That's true.
I can give a very concrete example. There is this one school. Can I say the name of the school?
Will you get into trouble?
I know.
Maybe not.
There is this one school. Their directress will invite me from time to time to MC their graduation. I've been their MC for 2 years.
Wow.
So their culture is really to follow the time. Once they say it's 1 p.m., once the clock ticks at 1 p.m., it will be the start.
Okay.
And you know, the directress shared to me, because the directress is also my professor before, she shared to me that at the beginning, when they tried to break this culture, it's very difficult. Sometimes they can leave kids, especially during field trips. Call time is 7 a.m., 7 a.m. we depart. And then there are kids that will be running towards the school at 7:05. They will be arriving at 7:05, but the course is already departed. So therefore, they will be left behind.
Yeah.
For example, programs. Once they say it's 8 a.m., it's 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m. It's not 8:01. It's 8 a.m. So it all starts with the school. And that children, that set of children from kindergarten, it will be brought up. That kind of culture, the habit is developed. So once they grow up, it will be brought into. But the second point here is that I would really like to laugh on those leaders addressing mga graduation, and then afterwards those speakers, and they will say that you are the future leaders of this nation. Those typical anecdotes. And then my question to them is this: if we are the future leaders, you are the leaders now, and what are you doing?
Okay.
Simple as that. What are you doing? So if you're not doing anything, don't challenge us. Challenge yourself. As simple as that. So people keep on saying that you are the future leaders. Plan on something great for your generation. But what are you doing for this generation to be great?
Okay.
Simple as that. And it all starts with the culture at home.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very nice thoughts. And as much as we'd like to speak with you for the next 5 hours, our director is quite strict. But Jonathan Mark Alquiza, hi Jonathan, is watching us, and he actually has some thoughts on the question earlier. Should we allow students to take pictures of notes on the board? He says, I think using your phone to capture notes on the board is fine as long as the teacher allows it. But it should not be solely dependent upon. I still prefer the classic pen to paper note taking. Jonathan and I belong to the same generation, so I can relate. And we have some good news. We now have 4 winners. We now have winners of the Big Bad Wolf passes. We have one. Let's see. Oh, Casey K. Casey K, Jonathan, Mark Alquiza, Mark Coromas, and Jesney Sontusidan. If I pronounce it correctly. Our winners of the Big Bad Wolf book sale exclusive preview pass. Good for 2. This is happening on, again, July 12, 2018 from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the IEC Convention Center here in Cebu City. We'd like to give a shout out, special thanks to Big Seed PR and Events. Thank you very much for the passes. And if those of you who have not won today, please stay tuned to another episode of the Freeman Conversations, perhaps tomorrow, for you to be able to win passes for this event. Okay, and of course I'd like to thank you, the 3 of you. Thank you very much for being here. Andre Pepito from St. Teresa's College. We have Kurt Lozano from Cebu Doctors University, and Kyle Pulmones from University of San Jose. They're presidents of their Supreme Student Councils. And to all of you watching us right now, thank you very much. Tune in again next time. We'll see you again here on the Freeman Conversations.